I just wanted to sort of show you the sort of versatility of this and how you can use it for all sorts of different purposes. I did a project last year for CEDA, which was looking at what it would take to create a world-class horticultural workforce in the UK, and the main report is this. But as part of the contract, I had to create a website to publicise it. So this is basically a series of case studies for other horticultural growers, to give them some examples of what things you can do in best practice. So as you can see, it's got some of the same things in it, but it's deployed in a different way. It's talking about press coverage. It talks about what the 6 principles are, and it basically gives people the ability to access a version of that guide, and they can just basically sort of again sign up the form and order it. But that's being used in a totally different way. This is being used to sort of publicise a research report that was done, and you've got the ability also to look at the case studies. And again, I've got some videos in there which are just the same as the ones that we had here, but they're actually examples of sort of 4 of the case studies of people actually explaining what it was that they did that was interesting in a particular area of sort of workforce development. So you can this is actually constructed in exactly the same theme as the garden one is, but it's for a totally different purpose. So again, this is an example of a project-related site which is specifically set up to disseminate a report and the case studies that are attached to it. So you can see that these tools give you an awful lot of power, and if you link them back to your sort of LinkedIn and Facebook and SlideShare profiles, you can actually build quite a body of evidence that you should be taken seriously, that you're a person of influence, which is, as academics, is what you want to achieve.
Did you say this was WordPress as well?
Yeah. It's done in exactly the same way as the Intelligent Garden site, but it was basically constructed to do some research into this particular area of workforce development.
And this is hosted on somewhere on those?
It's actually hosted inside the Intelligent Garden, technically, because the hosting organisation I use, which is Just Hosts, enables me to host as many other sites as I want inside the original envelope, inside the same envelope, which is a handy thing to know about.
Yeah, sure.
Something I saw, building on from that, something I saw for the first time recently, which I thought was really good, was somebody was trying to do the same sort of thing, which was basically raise awareness and sell copies of a report that they'd written. And what they did was they actually had a little tweet box and a Facebook like, so that if you said you wanted to download or copy the report that you were looking for, it didn't cost you anything, but he said, okay, just give me a tweet as payment. So you just basically filled in a little tweet box and it would send a tweet saying, I've just downloaded so-and-so's report. And so he was collecting tweets as, if you like, social capital for giving away the report.
This whole thing about about payment by tweet is actually becoming quite prevalent, really.
Yeah, I thought it was quite, because it's very easy to do. But if someone has then got 20 tweets, it's evidence that a lot of people have found their stuff useful. That you can sit there on the site and add to the credibility. Just picking up on the points you both made, when we started, right back at that first table with the different ways in which you can build your brand and the different tools, I think that all these examples have shown that it isn't necessarily about using all the stuff all of the time. It's about selecting the things that work for you in meeting the objective that is unique to you. So there may well be parts of that you never need to touch because they're not relevant to what you're trying to do. And other bits you might focus on more or less than we do. But it's kind of picking out what works for you and how you can package it together in a way in which you add value with the creating something that's greater than the sum of the parts.
And I think reflecting on what's working as well over time as these things evolve is part of it, because the thing that seems to, for my purposes, have worked best is embedding the slide shares in the blog posts. That's what works for me. That's what captures the academics, because you can say you're interested in innovation, digital media, creative industries. You can talk about that, you can say where you've been, you can tag the post, but until people get really drill down to the level of detail in a presentation, they don't always get where you're coming from, you know. And that kind of clinches it for them. Are they like me or not like me? And I find that's quite a useful thing for two reasons. One, because it works, but for another purpose is that, you know, we go to conferences or presentations and so on. We often spend a lot of time putting the PowerPoint together, and they represent quite a lot about us. And they often seem to be just wasted, you know. They end up on a conference CD, stuck in the bottom of a bag somewhere. Nobody ever gets them out again, and it's kind of lost. Whereas in this way, their life is maintained. And of course, they might, you know, that you're probably improving them and changing them all the time. But you know, if that was done in October 2008, then that date is clearly indicated on the thing. So you know, it's not ossified. It's like there in its timeline. You can sometimes track development through.
I was just wondering if you can use Prezi on SlideShare.
No, only uploads PowerPoint. So Prezi kind of, but you can embed Prezis because Prezis by their very nature.
Actually, you can put PDFs up on SlideShare, and you can embed YouTube videos in them.
So you can put a link and use your Prezi on your Prezi website.
Yeah, but you can also you could put a PDF up of you could put a PDF document up, whether it's a set of slides or whether it is the slides itself, and you can actually embed a YouTube video inside a slide set within SlideShare. So it's an incredibly powerful tool, and I think for you chaps it's probably the tool of choice. You know, of all the things that you could do, it's probably the thing to get proficient with, that in your LinkedIn profile.
SlideShare.
Yeah, and make sure that SlideShare is, you know, your SlideShare stuff is on your LinkedIn profile. Plus the sort of kind of blog site that sort of Lorraine uses. I mean, I think the way that she's actually used that, you know, the WordPress tool to sort of basically demonstrate her authority in her particular field is very easily, I mean, it's a very elegant demonstration of what you can do with it.
And once it's set up, I spend very little time on it. If you look at a post will probably be just a couple of hundred words max, and you don't really want more than a couple of hundred words in a post, I'd say. It takes me about 10 minutes to write and just make the links and put the tags on. That's all. They're not, you know, crafted papers or anything like that. It's just a, you know, fairly brief set of connections, and you know, doesn't take a long time at all.
But it's a record of where you've been, what you've done, and when it then comes to writing reports on what you achieved in the year, you can just refer back and sort of list all the things that you've itemised on the blog. So it's acting as a diary, really, an interactive diary.
Yeah, I do use it in that way actually now. Yeah.